Yeah, very cool.
There we go.
All right. Welcome for part two of the three-part webinar series that Smart Property Management and Ben Binger at Alloy Mortgage have put together to help renters to give you a roadmap to home ownership. Part one we did last month was supercharging your um, credit, unbelievable, educational that is available on YouTube. Today we are doing another part two, busting home ownership myths. And next month on August 13th, we'll be doing mastering the pre-approval process. So I'm Bob, owner of Smart Property Management, with my partner here, Debbie.
Hello.
And we have three of our property managers. They're also real estate agents. To be a property manager, you have to be a licensed real estate agent in the state of Colorado. We have Katie Larson on with us today. Jeff Chatham and Ian Cornell are deserving some much deserved time off. So, with that introduction, I do want to pass it over to Ben Binger from Ally Mortgage, who's going to bring home the presentation.
Yep, it looks like Jeff just logged in, so I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on here
No,
for
Jeff doesn't
once
deserve any
he
time off, so he's logging.
once he
But
once he
Katie
jumps
does.
once he jumps in. So I'll keep an eye on that. But Bob, thank you so much. We're gonna have here he is, right as I get started. Let him pull on here. We're going to hit on, I came up with about 10 or 12 home buying myths, and then I realized we should probably not do this as a 2 hour webinar. So I did trim it down here. So we're going to try to knock out about 15 minutes of some of the most common home buying myths I see. Jeff, welcome. Good to see you logged in, sir.
Hi, Jeff.
Sorry.
And,
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Jeff,
and
it's wind down Wednesday, so grab a drink.
there you
We'll
go.
do that.
As a reminder, whether you're on our webinar here live or if you watch this on the interwebs into the future, I am the broker owner of a mortgage company called Alloy Mortgage. We have over 70 different mortgage banks that we can help find a lower than market interest rate for potential buyers. My entire adult life has been education, communication, and I love being able to teach classes like this. So you see on the right side of your screen there, if you would like to save my contact information, you can snap a picture of that or hold your camera over and it'll let you do the QR code scan in. It'll take you to my contact page and so forth there. We're going to be talking about busting home buyer myths. And to jump in, the first one we want to look at, probably one of the most common I hear is, well, I've heard I'm going to need 20% down to buy a house. So we're going to bust that myth. We're going to do it with a little bit of a vote in here. So if you're on mute, go ahead and take yourself off mute for a second. I'd love to hear how much do you think you need to save up in order to put down the down payment on a house? I'm going to give you a couple options. 25%, 2%, 19.999%. For those math nerds there in the viewing section, 3.14159.2%, 50%, or 10%, or 3%. Or maybe it's a number that it didn't even show up on the board. What do you guys think? What percentage is needed in order to do a down payment on a house?
100%. You have to be a cash buyer to get a house these days.
Mm.
Hey,
Yes, 100%. I agree with you.
It does feel a little bit that way, doesn't it?
cash buyer only.
Oh, what did you say, Debbie?
I said cash buyer only.
From
Cash buyer only.
California.
Yeah, from California or Texas.
No, no, I'm sure there's some folks from California that are lovely, but we prefer for them to take a hard left and go straight up north before crossing the Utah-Colorado line. We got plenty of people in Colorado.
Okay.
The answer is, oh, here, let me switch back over.
3. My
Truth
vote is
is,
3.
yeah, truth is most loan programs will offer down payment options as low as 3 to 3.5%. Actually, if you have a military background, if you're a veteran, or you're using a USDA loan, yep, same USDA that they stamp steaks in the supermarket with, those loans actually don't require any down payment. You can buy a home with as little as 0% down. However, I haven't seen a USDA loan in Denver Metro. You'd have to look at wanting to, buy about 3 to 4 hour drive straight east. Often, though, there's some interesting pieces on this. Folks thinking they need to wait for 20% down. Even if you wanted to save up to put 20% down, oftentimes it's not even worth waiting. And I want to show you some math that I'm not a math genius by any means, but some math that
I don't think you're an English
folks.
major either. You're missing a W in front of the
Well,
one.
no, I'm not an editor major, but let me show you this really interesting slide called "Losing by Saving." This chart is showing home equity appreciation growth in the U.S. going all the way back to 1942. 1942. In case you wanted to do the math, I did it. 83 years of home growth history. And here's what's really interesting to look at. Every percentage point you see on there is in green is the percentage of growth that housing grew in any particular year, right? So green is positive growth. There is, I think, a couple of spots where you'll see just white, where it was 0% growth. And then you certainly see that there's a couple of smaller pockets of red where there was actually negative housing growth. And one of the questions I'll get quite a bit is, well, when's the bubble going to pop? Or, I'm going to wait till housing gets cheaper. Okay, well, great. Pick a point on this chart where you feel like is going to be the best time to perfectly time that. Well, yeah, it probably would have made sense if you would have timed it at 2011 to 2012. Or maybe in 1991, where it would have been 1% less from the previous couple of years. But outside of that, in the last 80 plus years, housing every year has gone up. And even as we're looking at 2025, again, we're looking at right now somewhere between 3 to 5% is what the market is on track for. And so as we look at this and realize, okay, every month or every year that I wait to save up is actually costing me in equity and growth. Now, I always joke that, look, if you want to make 40 friends real fast, go on any social media and say, hey, I'm looking at buying a house, and bam, all of a sudden you've met every real estate agent that's in your social media circle. And a lot of times you'll hear from real estate agents, well, the best time to buy is definitely now. And sometimes it feels a little bit inauthentic because it's like, well, of course you would say now because you're a real estate agent and you make money if I buy a house or if I sell a house. So forgetting what a real estate agent might or might not say, if we just look at the data tells us that housing appreciation goes up by and large year over year over year over year over year over year. And the longer someone waits, the more they lose out on that. I'll show you what I mean by that. If we look at that property appreciation very conservatively, appreciates 4 to 5% a year. Let's take, for example, a $600,000 starter home, not a townhome or a condo, but a single family home in 2004 was worth $600,000, let's say, okay? That same home now a year later is worth $630,000. 20% down to buy that home in 2024 was $120,000. 20% down to buy that same home this year went up $6,000. But look at this, the house price increased $30,000 as well. So not only would someone need to save up another $6,000 to buy that house today that they could have bought last year, but they would also have to buy that house for $30,000 more than they potentially bought it for last year. So the cost to save that for that 20% would actually be $36,000 in this example lost by waiting 1 year. So unless you can save at a faster pace than housing appreciation is growing, you're not gaining by saying, look, I'm only going to buy a house if I can save up 20%, okay? You're actually losing if you're trying to wait to save up there. Oh, 36,000 lost. There's our bouncing circle. A commonly heard phrase, well, I don't want to pay mortgage insurance. Isn't that a waste of money? Yeah, it's true that if you have less than 20% down, you're going to pay monthly PMI or private mortgage insurance. But is it a waste of money? Well, let me show you some more math. Let's see if the math is mathing. If we look at a monthly PMI or monthly mortgage insurance that you pay based on different FICOs or credit scores, if you didn't tune in last week or last month, make sure to check out that Supercharging Your Credit Scores because that's what this FICO is talking about. But let's look at a 620 credit score, 5% down, would pay $521 a month. in mortgage insurance. 680 credit score, 5% down would pay $352 a month in mortgage insurance. 740, 5% down, $194 a month in mortgage insurance. You certainly see that having a higher credit score will help save you no matter what. 780 FICO, 5% down, $139 a month in mortgage insurance. So with 5% down, an average appreciation of 4 to 5% a year on housing, most homeowners are eligible for this mortgage insurance to be dropped or removed after about 2.5, but let's say 3 years just to be on the safe side. So let's kind of put it all together. There goes our bouncing circle again. So let's say that instead of being a mortgage guy, let's say that we had our financial planner on this call, a great guy named Mark Bennett, and Mark's saying, hey, is there an interest that you want to invest some of your money in growing it to a larger number? I don't think any of us would say, no, I don't want to invest money to grow it to a larger number. I'd like to invest money for a smaller number. Probably not. But let's look at if you could spend $18,756 for the opportunity to earn $36,000. How many of you would consider that a wise investment? Feel free to unmute.
Yes.
I see hand signals on
yes, the answer is yes.
Right? So here's where the math comes from. Well, that's a 620 credit score, 5% down. That $521 a month in mortgage insurance is $652 a year times 3 years before you'd be able to request potentially to have it drop would be $18,756. And remember, we talked about if that allows you to buy today versus buy a year from now, that saves you 36, potentially, again, we're looking at estimates here and theoreticals, but that would save you potentially $36,000. That's at a lower end of the credit score. So let's look at how about if you have a 680 credit score? Well, now that 36,000 would be accessible if you're just paying 3 years of mortgage insurance for 12,672. A third scenario with a credit score of 780, that mortgage insurance over the next 3 years would only cost you $5,000 before you could potentially be eligible to have it removed. So again, if we come back and go, okay, well, does anybody sign up to say, I want to pay mortgage insurance for no reason? Not at all. But if we do the math to say, well, if I pay mortgage insurance over the next 3 years, it's going to cost me $5,000. But if that allows me to buy sooner versus later, and I can take advantage of today's housing and not wait for it to grow and the down payment to be larger and the house price to be larger down the road, then there is an incentive to be able to buy today, even if it means we're paying for mortgage insurance. All right, that was a longer one. Let's jump to some faster ones. Myth 2, you need perfect credit to buy a house. The truth is buyers can qualify with credit scores even down as low as 600s. And again, we had the whole webinar here last month on that. But here's what I would say is if you're concerned about where your credit score is, the time to look at that or make that a top priority is not once you're ready to buy a house. The time to look at that is now. Now is the time to talk to a credit and mortgage professional to say, hey, what do you see? What do you think I should do? How can I make sure to improve my credit so that when I get to the point that I want to purchase, my credit score is at a better place than it is today? A couple of resources I'll give you. Number one, again, there's a QR code for my contact information. Many times, I think almost every month, I will have folks where we just do free credit consultations. It's scheduling to say, hey, let's do a soft credit check so it doesn't hurt your credit, and we can begin to have a credit conversation and say, what are some of the things that I can see from my experience and from my elevation view on recommendations that would help you get your credit into a better position once you're ready to buy. So feel free to scan that if you'd like to ever reach out and give me a call or schedule something. Again, it's a free credit consultation. The second thing I would recommend is if you don't have an Experian Boost account set up, that is one of the best free ways that you can grow your credit as well. Essentially, credit bureaus score you based on credit accounts, mortgages, auto loans, credit cards, installment debt like student loans. What they don't score you on is something that many renters have: utility bills. Do you have a cell phone with a major national carrier, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile? Do you pay that cell phone bill each month? Because that's not getting reported to the bureaus. Do you pay for Wi-Fi in your apartment? Do you have Xfinity or CenturyLink or BAM Fiber or whatever it is? That's not getting recorded to the credit bureaus. Do you subscribe to Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu? I mean, there's all of these different services that by and large we as consumers subscribe to and pay for, and it's not by default being reported to your credit. So it can't help improve your score. What Experian Boost does, and they're going to verify you. You need a full legal name, birth date, social security number, all of that to verify you. But they're going to allow you to connect all of those utility accounts so that that information can begin to get reported on your credit report. I forget exactly, but I think Experian Boost claims that over 2 to 3 months, they can boost your credit something like 20 points on average just by signing up for a free account. So best free advice of the webinar is even put it on your task list before this weekend. Sign up, set it up, and make sure to get that rolling.
Ben,
Bob,
is that accounts of your choosing, or is that you sign up through Experian Boost, or is that everything? Is it just if you know that you had a late payment on your Comcast bill,
yeah,
would you
wouldn't
can
want to
you
link that
elect
one
not
probably,
to
right?
do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, that's a great question. What it does, it uses your social birth date and legal name to connect to every major, essentially, utility provider in the US and pull that information down and say like, hey, Jeff, it looks like there's 5 different accounts that we can tie back to you. You want to verify, are these yours? And do you want any or all of these to start reporting back to the bureaus?
Okay.
Right.
So you
So
can say, I want 2 of those to do it, not
exactly.
all 5 of them, right?
Correct. And you bring up a great point. If you don't have a great payment history with those accounts, of course you don't want to add those in. You don't want to report missed payments to the bureaus.
I do. I pay my bills. All right.
But in general, right?
But
in
you
general,
never know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great question. So Experian Boost, my best free tip here for the day. All right, number 3 myth: getting pre-approved hurts my credit. The truth is, yes, a hard credit check, which is what actually would hit your credit score, may be needed by the time you're ready to put in an offer and go under contract to buy a house. But it doesn't mean that you necessarily need that hard check up front in the beginning if you're just wanting to get some initial numbers or you're wanting to get an initial pre-approval. Make sure that you are working with a lender that can offer and conduct a soft credit check up front. One of the most common questions I get as I'm talking to new buyers is exactly this. Well, I'd like to know what I can qualify for, but is it going to hurt my credit? Nope. The good news is, in the same way that there's a lot of different systems out there that offer soft credit check options, we have a number of banks and lenders that the same thing can check, see what's going on with your credit, allow us to make recommendations, but at the same time, it's not going to hard ding your credit scores until we're actually ready to do a hard pull and you're going under contract. And of course, that's what credit checks are for at that point. Okay. Myth number 4 out of 5. We're almost done here. Myth number 4: it's cheaper to rent than own. And this one is one of my favorite ones here to debunk. The truth is, while it is true that a monthly mortgage payment in this market is going to exceed a monthly rent payment, don't forget, homeowners build equity. Renters do not. And so I want to show you what I mean by that. New York Post actually just reported on this article that was from the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances. Boy, that's a mouthful. Published last month, June 11th. Their article was how much wealthier homeowners are than renters. And here's what their survey found. Homeowners are 43 times wealthier than renters at retirement, according to this 2025 survey by the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances. Homeowners build equity with borrowed money. Again, we certainly have those cash buyers Bob was looking for in the beginning of our call, but most home buyers are looking for a mortgage, i.e. they're looking to borrow money. Well, in that ability to borrow money, i.e. a mortgage, homeowners build equity with that borrowed money, effectively turning banks into financial partners. On the other side of the equation, you have renters who are going to pay 100% with no return. There is no ability to leverage that. Every month I pay my rent. I stay in the house, or I stay in the apartment, or I stay in the unit, but that's it. There's nothing that's building past that. Another totally separate survey that was done by a consulting firm called Mercer found that lifelong renters will have to save 50% more for retirement than their home owning counterparts if they're going to have enough money to retire with. That's something that for me kind of is a little mind-blowing to think through. Just that step of saying, I'm going to choose to be a homeowner, puts you in a financial position where attaining and accessing funds in retirement is a whole different level of access than what you would have if you choose to be a lifelong renter. There's my bouncing circle, 50% more. A couple of other studies came out from Redfin back in May. Redfin published an article that said the U.S. housing market has nearly 500,000 more sellers than buyers. What does that mean? Well, it means if you're a seller, it's a harder market. A lot of properties are sitting for 2 to 3 months in many pockets I see on the Front Range. But what does that mean if you potentially want to be a buyer? That it is a strong buyer's market. This Redfin article says there's an estimated 1.9 million home sellers in the U.S. and an estimated 1.5 million current home buyers. So in other words, there's 33% more sellers than buyers. If you track this survey going back to 2013, at no other point have sellers outnumbered buyers so much. So this is a market that absolutely favors someone saying, I want to become a buyer. I want to look at buying a house. I'll show you the survey that Redfin published. Right there you see 1.9 and change million sellers versus 1.4 and change million buyers. A lot less buyers. Sellers are saying, come on, will you come make us an offer? We're begging you. We'll pay your closing costs. We'll buy down your interest rate. We'll help you get a lower payment. What's it going to take? Let's make a deal. So if you're a potential buyer, again, what a great market to look at getting into housing. All right, last myth, and then we're all wrapped up. Myth number 5. All banks are created equal, so all mortgages are the same as well. It doesn't matter. I get folks a lot of times like, well, Ben, why would it matter? What's the difference in working with, say someone like you who's a mortgage broker versus, my local bank or A, B, and C mortgage or whoever it might be. The truth is, shopping for your mortgage with the wrong bank or even the right bank with the wrong mortgage strategy can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over the life of your mortgage. And again, I'm not just throwing stuff out there. Let me show you the surveys to back it up. Polygon Research did a survey. Actually, let me see if I've got, oh man, I just realized all of my charts that I was looking at pulling on this disappeared. Let me see if I can pull them back here. Oh, well, doggone it. I had a fantastic set of slides that disappeared, so I'll kind of just walk through it.
I want to buy that house.
It is yours for the low, low price of 3.2. There's 1,000. All right, let me, well, now my slides kind of are a mess here, so let me just do it this way, and we'll wrap it up this way. All right, so unfortunately, it looks like there was a last-second delete on a couple of my slides that I was wanting to show you. But I ran a scenario of a FHA loan quote I had received from a buyer who had gotten their quote at another bank. 6.875 was their interest rate. When we looked at over the next 30 years, they were going to pay $611,000 in interest over the life of the loan. The principal and interest, or the repayment on their loan, was going to be $2,820. I think the loan amount was like $440 and change. We found a bank that was able to match, not just match this, but instead of a 6.875, they're willing to offer a 6.125 interest rate. Just the lower interest rate alone was going to save them substantially. But then that's where the mortgage strategy came in. I said, guys, okay, let's not just look at a lesser monthly payment with the 6.125. You already were happy with the 6.875 payment. So let's have you do the same payment, but with a much lower interest rate, which means much more of your money each month is going to pay down the principal of the loan instead of the interest itself. And when we ran those numbers over 30 years, that scenario was going to be the difference of almost $200,000 in savings for that buyer, simply because they were willing to stop and say, hey, let me check around and see if there's a better deal out there. Okay, now I'll show you the survey I was going to show you earlier. Survey by Polygon Research came out where their third-party independent research said, hey, look, for buyers that are willing to work with an independent mortgage broker, meaning not with an individual bank.
Can you put that to presentation mode?
Yeah, let's see. That's shut off, huh? Okay.
Yeah, we're seeing all the slides on the left. And
well, and this is the issue is, yeah, I'm just going to wrap up with this because as soon as I do presentation mode, it throws it onto one of my other screens.
okay,
So it's
no worries. Keep it like this then.
Yeah, we're almost wrapped up here.
I'm almost done with my wine.
That's probably the best we can do on that. For consumers or home buyers that say, look, I'm going to shop around and I'll work with somebody who can independently broker out to any number of banks. Survey said they've saved almost $11,000. This piece I thought was really interesting is for folks who are veterans. The savings is even more, over $13,000. So again, not all banks are created equal. Not all strategies are often discussed with a bank. My favorite joke on this, and then we're going to wrap this up. What do you call a medical student who got C minuses in medical school?
Dentist.
You call him a doctor. And I don't know about you, but if I could sign up to work with a plus doctor or a C minus doctor, or to Bob's point, if I could sign up to work with a plus dentist or a C minus dentist, I would want to work with somebody who I know knows their craft, knows their trade, and it's no different in the world of mortgages. You obviously have whether it's the banks or just the folks that maybe are operating at a C minus level. And my encouragement would just be, hey, always look for the folks that you feel like are going to serve you from a plus level of service and rates and communication across the board. All right. So with that, we'll wrap this up. That concludes our busting homeownership myths. I added my contact info over there again if you wanted to scan that. If you want to find me on Instagram, you can. Otherwise, that's it. Bob, I'll throw it back over to you guys at Smart Property Management.
Yeah, no, great presentation. I did want to point out actually one of our rentals, the central air conditioning unit went on the fritz. And because the renters, they don't have to have that expense, but the owner, it is a warranty of habitability in the state of Colorado since last year. And the owners are responsible to put in a new system. And so for you renters on the screen there, that's one of the advantages of being a renter, but we want you guys to be homeowners. We want to help you find your home. So if you are interested in purchasing a home, you can talk to your property manager. They are licensed real estate agents as well. And
Bob, can I throw out on that AC?
Yep.
I think that's really important to recognize. There is a financial shift. We already looked at all the data that says homeownership absolutely is more beneficial than long-term, lifelong rental, right? But when you become a homeowner, to Bob's point, if stuff breaks, you're responsible to fix it. If there's an insurance claim, you're responsible for it. And so part of that is financially managing in such a way so that homeownership is a blessing and not a burden when that time comes.
Yep, true. Ben, I appreciate it. Any questions, Jeff?
I have a question. Yeah, I have a question for Ben because he brought up strategy, mortgage strategy. For those of us that are sitting with 2.85, is there any reason to change a strategy?
No, no, not at all. No,
Okay.
and that's, I mean, at that point, you realize how almost free that money is,
Yeah.
right? I had actually a landlord who, when we refinanced, she had two properties. We refinanced her into 2 I think it was 2.75 and 2.6, something like that. And she said, all right, now that I'm in this, then I want to pay these off super aggressively over the next 10 years. I said, why?
Why?
She said, well, it just feels good. I want to have him pay it off. And I said, okay. Again, I'm a guy who says, look, don't take me at my word. Let's always go back to the numbers. Math, at the end of the day, doesn't lie. And we ran the numbers, and I said, look, if you just pay this off over your regular term, you can take the rest of that money and invest it easily in a 4%, 5%, 8%, 10% return environment. So why would you pay off, Jeff, in your case, why would you spend extra money to pay off a sub 3% debt with money that you could be investing and earning 10% or more in the market?
Okay.
Right? Something
Yeah.
else to be aware of too when
Okay,
it comes
that's a
to
good
tax
point.
filings. I'm not a CPA. I didn't stay at a CPA Holiday Inn Express last night. But here's what I can tell you about a tax code is your primary residence is always the property. If you own rentals and a primary and you have mortgages on everything, you always want to look at paying off your mortgages certainly as quickly as possible on your rentals. On your primary residence, it's actually the best tax savings and write-offs you'll ever get are going to be on your primary residence, right? So I had another gentleman who is in his 70s. He owns 80 some doors of rental properties, has them all paid off, and now he's like, all right, I'm going to aggressively pay down my, I think we refinanced him at like a 2.2 on his primary. And I was like, stop, don't do this. There is no reason to pay this off early. What you want to do is invest this money in a 5 to 10% growth environment and just keep paying off your 2.5% interest rate.
Yep.
Don't waste what you could be investing.
Buy some.
Jeff,
Okay.
your best strategy is don't
I
let
will
anything
not make
talk you out of it.
additional payments on my principal. I
Yeah, no,
promise.
don't do it. Don't do it.
Buy some Bitcoin, XRP, going to the moon.
Debbie's back there
Thank you. No, that
disagreeing, it
helped.
looks like.
Actually,
helps.
Jeff, you should start a property management company. It's so rewarding.
There you go.
Oh, yes. Anyway, I appreciate you. And we got Jeff Green taking a sip. And thank you very much. Tina, Claire, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. This was really helpful. And Ben, if it's okay, I probably will be reaching out to you.
You've
No,
got my contact
no.
information,
Yeah.
and absolutely, would love to have a chat.
Can't talk to Ben. No.
Okay.
Yes, you can. You so can, Claire.
I'm one of those medical professionals. I didn't have a C minus, luckily, so I'm one of
right.
the A plus ones.
I love it.
Unfortunately, with a lot of student debt, but hopefully,
Yeah.
most is still in my future.
I love it. Well, Claire, I can tell you my longest pre-approval for a client was like over 3.5 years.
Okay. Okay.
Meaning we went through all of the pre-approval process. She was locked in. Everything was good. She was ready to go. And then it literally took her over 3.5 years to finally find the property she wanted. She'd look for 2-3 months, disappear out of the market. 6 months later, she'd come back and go, Ben, can I get re-upped again? Yep, let's refresh your pre-approval. She'd get real active for a couple weeks, get disappointed, had, again, life expenses. I forget what it was, but something happened. There was a medical thing. She disappears for another 9 months, came back. Wow, I was thrilled. We were finally able to help her buy her first place she's ever owned as a, what was she, 39 years old, bought her first place, and is just thrilled with it. She's owned it now for about 18 months. I check in with her every year, and Jackie, how are things? She goes, oh my gosh, I love it. I'm so happy I own. I'm so happy I didn't stay stuck in all of the fear I had. And it's just, so Jackie's one of 1,000 reasons why I do what I do.
Okay.
I have a 10-year client. Still looking. Still looking for
Still
that.
looking.
I literally have a 10-year
Yeah, show him that chart and start counting up all of the percentage points year over year over year.
I'll have him call you to start wasting your time now.
I have my own set of those folks. We're getting there.
Full service, Jeff.
Literally
full
a
service.
10-year class.
Yeah, right.
That's wild. Yep. They I still have folks who I got in the business 10 years ago. In 2015, they said, "No, we don't want to go through the process. We're going to wait for the bubble to pop." And I've checked back with them periodically. And again, I don't know that I would call them a client because I've always like, "Hey, how are things? Just want to know if you changed your mind." Nope, we're waiting for the bubble to pop. And I just want to be like, guys, if you were to just add up the last 10 years of appreciation, like properties appreciate like 50%. I mean, you could take the biggest bubble pop in the history of housing and still come out ahead if you guys would have bought a decade ago. But something
Katie,
about
are you
horses
ready to
and
get
water.
Yeah.
What was that, Tina?
I was saying, Katie, are you ready to get started?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, when somebody made a comment about it, like property management being rewarding, like sarcastically, because it is a very difficult job, but Tina is one that makes it easy.
Ah, nice.
Yay.
Very nice.
Thank you.
What about
Claire? I'm sorry.
Anyway, we're gonna start recording before we get in trouble. This wine.
Cheers.
This wine.
We look forward to next month coming back around and wrapping this up with secrets to the pre-approval, hacking the pre-approval. I forget what we called it, but we've got some great content for that as well.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Ben. This
Ben,
is great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Yep. All have a great rest of your week.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.